There are moments in your life, chosen one, when the very structure of the world seems to push you into one direction, whispering the same path over and over again. Work hard, get a job, survive. Society repeats it until it becomes a chain on your soul, convincing you that your worth is measured only by what you can produce for others. And yet deep down, there has always been this voice inside of you that tells you something different. It is a voice that does not want you to spend your life chasing endless job after job, grinding yourself down for temporary security, only to realize you are empty inside. That voice is guiding you to something far greater, something the world cannot explain. It is guiding you to your purpose. Before we go deeper, I want you to stay with me until the end of this message, because there is a reason you are hearing this right now. If you believe in the fulfillment of wishes, in the energy you release returning to you multiplied, then I invite you to write your most sincere wishes and 777 in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss the moments of truth and revelation meant to lift your spirit higher. This is more than words. It is a way of planting seeds into the universe, sending out vibrations of hope, and letting heaven align with your life. The truth is, you were never meant to live just for survival. Chosen ones have always stood apart, not because they are incapable of doing what others do, but because their spirit cries out for something beyond the ordinary. While others can live in routine, satisfied by simply following the system, you are restless inside when you are forced into the same cycle. That restlessness is not laziness, nor is it rebellion. It is the mark of someone whose destiny cannot be reduced to punching in and out of a clock, giving away all their energy to a system that only consumes and never fulfills. Your path is not about chasing jobs. It is about creating, building, and walking in what was planted inside of you long before you even knew it. Some people will look at you and judge. They will say you are irresponsible for not pursuing stability the way they define it. They will criticize you for stepping away from traditional paths, or for refusing to settle for less than what your soul knows it deserves. But what they do not understand is that you were not called to live by their standards. You were called to move differently, to let your gifts shine in ways that go beyond paychecks. When heaven speaks to you, it does not speak in the language of contracts, bosses, or endless applications. It speaks in visions, in ideas that stir your heart, in opportunities that align with who you are at your core. That is why doors seem to close on you when you try to force yourself into jobs that do not fit. You were never meant to fit. Think about the times in your life when you tried to force yourself to be like everyone else, to work where they worked, to do what they did. How often did it end in exhaustion, rejection, or an emptiness you could not explain? That was not failure. That was protection. Every closed door, every missed opportunity, every rejection letter or unanswered call was not a punishment. It was heaven's way of redirecting you. Chosen ones do not waste their lives begging for seats at tables that were never meant for them. You are being guided to build your own table, to walk in paths that others may fear to tread, because your destiny requires more. It does not mean that you will not work. It means your work will not look like what the world expects. Instead of endlessly chasing after positions that drain your energy, you are being guided to step into alignment with your gifts. Some of you carry the voice of a teacher, not in the classrooms of the world, but in the wisdom you share with others in everyday life. Some of you carry healing in your hands and words, not as doctors with papers and degrees, but as natural vessels of comfort and peace to those who are broken. Some of you carry creativity so unique that it will not find a home in traditional systems. You are meant to create new systems altogether. You were never meant to depend on man's approval to validate your worth. That is why the system often rejects you, because you are not of the system. Jobs may provide temporary survival, but your calling is about eternal impact. And every time you forget that, life has a way of shaking you, reminding you that you cannot settle where you don't belong. This is why some of you have felt frustration, restlessness, and even despair when trying to follow what others say is the safe path. It is because your soul knows that safe is not the same as destined. Your spirit knows that being trapped in cycles of survival is not the reason you were placed on this earth. So do not see yourself as less because you cannot adapt to what others call normal. See yourself as chosen, set apart, and refined for something different. Understand that your rejection from the system is your redirection into purpose. It is your reminder that heaven is calling you higher, beyond the jobs that drain you, into a life that fulfills you. And though this path may feel lonely, though others may not understand, there will come a day when the very people who doubted you will look and see what was always inside of you, shining so brightly they can no longer deny it. When you feel the pull to step away from what everyone else is chasing, it can make you question yourself. You may look at your peers and see them securing jobs, moving into careers, building a kind of stability that society applauds, while you are left standing in a place of uncertainty. You wonder if you are falling behind, if you are somehow failing at life. But the truth is, chosen one, you are not behind. You are ahead. What seems like delay is actually divine timing, positioning you for something that cannot be achieved through the world's systems alone. You are not being punished for stepping away from what others do. You are being prepared to walk a road that requires strength, faith, and vision beyond what can be seen on the surface. Many of you have felt the sting of comparison. It is not easy when your family members, your friends, or even strangers look at you and measure your worth by whether you are working a traditional job. Some may whisper behind your back, calling you lazy, irresponsible, or lost. Yet, they do not see the nights you spend searching for meaning, the days you wrestle with inner conflict, the hours you pour into cultivating gifts no one else acknowledges. They see only the surface, but heaven sees the roots. While they are chasing quick fruit, you are developing deep foundations. It takes longer, it looks different, and at times it feels lonely. But the roots being grown in you are the very thing that will sustain you when others' quick results fade away. There is a reason why you do not feel at home in jobs that do not honor your spirit. The world has taught people to exchange their time for money, their peace for survival, their creativity for conformity. But you were designed with a blueprint that cannot tolerate that trade. If you ignore your gifts long enough, the restlessness inside you turns into frustration. If you try to quiet your spirit's calling, your life begins to feel heavy and empty, no matter how much you earn. That is not weakness. It is your inner compass refusing to let you live below your destiny. This is why heaven whispers to you, don't chase jobs, chase purpose. A job can end, but purpose sustains. A job can reject you, but purpose embraces you. A job can limit your income, but purpose multiplies it in ways you could never calculate. And the moment you step into alignment with what you were created for, doors that seemed locked forever suddenly swing open. Opportunities come not from you forcing yourself into spaces, but from you becoming who you were always meant to be. People begin to notice, not because you begged for attention, but because your light became impossible to ignore. Look back at your journey. Every rejection you faced was not random. It was calculated to redirect you. Every time you felt the weight of being misunderstood, it was carving out resilience. Every time you were told no, it was clearing space for the yes that would match your soul. Some of you were fired. Some of you quit. Some of you were never hired at all. And all of that, painful as it was, became part of the design. If you had been accepted into those spaces, you might have stayed and settled, never realizing there was more for you. Sometimes what feels like rejection is protection from a life that would have kept you small. And let's be honest, if you were to look at yourself in those moments, you would see how much you've grown because of them. Without those challenges, without those doors closing, you would not have been forced to discover your strength, your creativity, your perseverance. The world calls it struggle, but heaven calls it training. The system rejected you, but purpose refined you. That's why today, you carry wisdom and resilience that others who followed the ordinary path may never understand. It is also why you cannot afford to measure your journey by theirs. Your timeline is different. Your growth is different. And what looks like delay now will look like divine acceleration later. When your purpose reveals itself in fullness, the years of rejection and waiting will make sense. You will see how every no led you to the right yes. You will realize that while others built their security on fragile ground, you built yours on the eternal foundation of your calling. But understand this: stepping into purpose is not always glamorous. It will demand discipline, focus, and persistence. You cannot simply reject the world system and sit back waiting for miracles. You must work with what you've been given. The gifts planted in you are seeds, and seeds require cultivation. Just as a farmer cannot reap without planting, watering, and tending the soil, you cannot expect purpose to manifest without your participation. This is why your path may feel harder at times. It requires more intentional effort, more faith, and more sacrifice. But what you reap will far outweigh what you sow. The world may not understand your choices, but they will not be able to ignore the results. When your purpose begins to manifest, those who once questioned you will marvel. They will ask how you did it, where your strength came from, why your light shines so brightly. And in that moment, you will know that it was not because you followed the world's rules, but because you obeyed the call within. There is a weight you have carried that many others around you cannot comprehend. It's not just the weight of survival or responsibility. It's the weight of knowing you were created for something different. For many people, life is about security, stability, and routine. They can spend decades working in jobs that don't align with their spirit, and yet they remain comfortable because they do not hear the same voice you do. They do not feel the same fire burning inside that refuses to let them settle. But you do. That fire keeps you awake at night, asking questions that most people never dare to ask. Why am I here? What is my life supposed to mean? What is the deeper reason behind everything I've gone through? Those questions aren't a curse, chosen one. They are evidence of your calling. You may have noticed how different your path feels compared to your peers. Where they find comfort, you find restlessness. Where they see opportunities for ordinary success, you feel resistance. And where they feel safe following the crowd, you sense danger in doing the same. It can be lonely at times, because you are not only walking against the current, you are walking a path that doesn't even exist until you step onto it. You are building something unseen, and that requires trust far greater than simply applying for a job and receiving a paycheck. It demands that you believe in the unseen, that you nurture what feels invisible until it becomes undeniable. This is why you've always felt a pull away from the noise of the world. Too many people around you, too many voices speaking into your ear, can cloud your vision. You were never meant to drown in the chatter of everyone else's expectations. Instead, you were designed to listen closely to the whispers within your own spirit. That inner guidance, that quiet knowing, is more accurate than all the advice the world could offer. Others may look at your choices and think you are reckless, but deep down, you know that you are following something more reliable than logic. It is alignment. And alignment with your calling will always take you further than any job description ever could. The difficult part is that the world is relentless in its attempts to shape you into its mold. Family may pressure you. Friends may question you. Society may shame you. They will tell you that without a job title, you have no identity. Without a steady income, you have no worth. Without belonging to their system, you will be left behind. But these voices are not the truth. They are the echoes of fear. They come from people who themselves are trapped, who have forgotten that they too once carried dreams. Their words are projections of their own limitations, not declarations of your destiny. And though those words can wound, they are also part of your training. Every time you choose to rise above them, you grow stronger. Every time you resist the temptation to settle for less, your spirit sharpens. Every time you walk away from what doesn't serve your purpose, you step closer to what does. This is why it feels like you've been on a battlefield even without going anywhere. Because your war has been internal. You have been wrestling with doubt, fear, rejection, and misunderstanding. Yet through it all, you remain standing. That in itself is proof that you were built for more. When you think about your life, notice how your experiences have uniquely equipped you. The jobs you didn't get, the doors that closed, the skills you picked up from places you didn't even want to be, they weren't wasted. They were fragments of preparation. Each rejection gave you resilience. Each detour gave you wisdom. Each small opportunity taught you something you will one day need for the greater purpose. Nothing was in vain, even when it felt meaningless. You have been in training for a role that doesn't exist yet in the eyes of the world, but exists fully in the mind of heaven. That's why you cannot despise your process. You may not yet see the full picture, but the brushstrokes are intentional. A masterpiece never looks complete in its early stages. It looks messy, scattered, and unrecognizable. But the artist knows what they are creating, even when the observer does not. Your life is unfolding in that same way. What feels messy and unclear to you is a masterpiece in progress. The time will come when others will look back and say, "Now I see why you went through all of that. Now it makes sense." And here's the most powerful truth. When your purpose finally manifests, it will not just bless you, it will bless everyone connected to you. The reason your path has been so different, so challenging, is because your destiny is bigger than yourself. Ordinary jobs could only give you enough to survive, but your calling will give you more than enough to overflow. Your growth, your courage, your breakthrough will ripple outward, inspiring and uplifting those who once doubted you. They will see in you the reflection of what's possible when someone chooses faith over fear, purpose over survival, destiny over conformity. So if you ever wonder why your journey feels heavier than others, remember, it's because what you carry is greater. The burden of preparation is always proportionate to the size of the destiny. And if the preparation has been this intense, imagine how extraordinary the outcome will be. There comes a moment in every chosen one's life where the weight of separation becomes undeniable. It's not just that you feel different. It's that life itself seems to push you into spaces where you cannot blend in, no matter how hard you try. You may have attempted to walk the same path as your siblings, co-workers, or peers, and for a while it might have seemed like it was working. But eventually, something always happens to disrupt that illusion. The door closes, the plan unravels, the environment becomes unbearable, and suddenly you're standing alone again, wondering why nothing seems to stick. That is not failure, it is divine redirection. Each time the world pushes you out, it's because you're not meant to fit in those places. You are being guided toward the places only you can inhabit. The truth is, ordinary spaces cannot contain extraordinary callings. Imagine trying to fit an ocean into a glass. No matter how beautiful the glass is, it will always shatter under the weight of the water. In the same way, your essence is too expansive for certain environments. Jobs that seem secure to others may feel suffocating to you. Roles that bring others satisfaction may drain you completely. That is because your purpose requires freedom, creativity, and room to grow. The standard systems of the world were not designed with you in mind. They were built to maintain cycles of survival. But you were not sent here just to survive. You were sent here to transform, to inspire, to shift atmospheres with your presence. This is also why you often sense the hidden motives of others so quickly. Your spirit is sensitive to energy. You notice when words don't match actions, when smiles mask jealousy, when praise is laced with manipulation. While others may ignore these subtle signals, you feel them deeply. This can make social environments exhausting, because you are not only carrying your own emotions, you are also absorbing the energy of the room. That's why being around too many people at once can feel draining. You were designed to protect your inner atmosphere, to preserve your clarity, and to guard the sacred space within you where your calling lives. And though this level of sensitivity can sometimes feel like a burden, it is also your superpower. It's the very thing that allows you to navigate life with discernment. Where others walk blindly into traps, you sense them before they appear. Where others are deceived by appearances, you see beyond the surface. Where others get caught in the noise, you hear the still, small voice of truth. This is why God does not want you consumed by endless distractions. He is shaping you into someone who can walk with precision, who can build with intention, who can lead with authenticity. That requires periods of isolation, where your senses are sharpened, Your vision is clarified, and your spirit is strengthened. But here is where it gets even more powerful. The very people who may misunderstand you today will one day benefit from the path you are carving. Your siblings, your friends, your community. They may not grasp why you've chosen differently, but they will see the fruit of your choices in time. They will witness the freedom you gain, the peace you embody, and the impact you create, and it will awaken something in them too. Your courage to say no to the ordinary will give others permission to dream beyond their limitations. In that way, your obedience to your calling is not selfish, it is generational. You are opening doors that others couldn't, carrying what they couldn't bear, and leaving a trail for them to follow when their time comes. This explains why your journey feels heavier at times. You are not only carrying yourself, you are carrying the weight of those connected to you. Every lesson you learn is not just for you. It becomes wisdom you can pass down. Every battle you survive becomes a testimony that strengthens someone else. Every breakthrough you achieve expands the possibilities for those watching you, even silently. Your path may feel isolating now, but it is deeply interconnected to the lives of many. You are not just chosen for yourself, you are chosen for them too. And yet, to sustain this calling, you must continually release the idea that you can live like everyone else. If you measure your life against their standards, you will always feel behind. If you try to chase the same goals, you will always feel out of place. If you attempt to mimic their path, you will always stumble. The only way forward is authenticity. That means listening to the rhythm of your own spirit, honoring the pace of your own journey, and following the signs that appear uniquely for you. This is why comparison is one of the greatest threats to your destiny. It blinds you to the beauty of your own process. So instead of asking, "Why am I not where they are?" the better question is, "What is this season teaching me that will prepare me for where I'm going?" That shift in perspective is everything. It transforms frustration into patience, envy into gratitude, and doubt into faith. Suddenly, the delays make sense. The isolation feels purposeful, and the burdens become opportunities for growth. You begin to see that nothing has been wasted, and nothing is random. Every step, even the painful ones, is part of a larger design that is unfolding perfectly, even when it doesn't feel like it. This is why you cannot lose hope, chosen one. Your journey may feel unusual, unpredictable, and at times unbearable, but it is also unstoppable. No job title, no societal label, no external system can define what has already been written inside of you. What you are carrying is beyond titles and beyond positions. It is destiny. And once you realize that, you will stop chasing what was never meant for you and start creating what only you can bring into the world. The truth about being chosen is that your path is never ordinary. While others seem to follow predictable steps, school, job, career ladder, retirement, you are constantly being redirected into unknown terrain. This can be frustrating because everything in society tells you that stability is found in titles, paychecks, and predictable structures. But deep down you know that if you were to surrender to that system, something inside you would slowly wither away. You are not meant to trade your soul for a paycheck. You are meant to release something greater, something eternal, something that doesn't expire when the company closes or the job ends. This is why so many of your closed doors were actually blessings. The rejection you felt, the missed opportunities, the sudden endings, they were all disguised protection. If you had been accepted into every role you thought you wanted, you would have been trapped in places that dulled your fire. Instead, you were set apart. Not because you weren't qualified, but because you were overqualified in ways that the world doesn't measure. You weren't designed to just work. You were designed to create, to inspire, to transform atmospheres with your very presence. That's also why some people can't understand your restlessness. They might say, "Why can't you just settle?" But settling for you would mean betraying your spirit. You're not ungrateful. You're simply aware that you carry something that doesn't fit into standard boxes. And one day, those same voices will look at what you've built and realize why you couldn't stay small. You weren't running away from responsibility. You were running toward your destiny. So if you feel out of place in ordinary spaces, trust that there's a reason. You were not created to blend in, but to stand out. Your uniqueness is your assignment, and your path, though lonely at times, is proof that you're carrying something rare, something worth protecting, something that will one day make sense to everyone who doubted you. Every moment of your journey has been shaping you for this point. The rejection, the silence, the waiting seasons, even the nights you cried out asking, "Why me?" All of it has been preparation. You are not someone who was forgotten. You were someone who was being refined, separated, and strengthened so that when your time comes, you will carry not just a title, not just a role, but a legacy that cannot be erased. The reason you could not settle into the ordinary is because you were born for the extraordinary. Ordinary paths were too narrow for the weight of your calling. If you had tried to live like everyone else, your spirit would have been crushed under the weight of unexpressed purpose. That's why life has seemed harder for you than for others. You have felt delays, obstacles, and setbacks more intensely. Not because you were weaker, but because you were destined to rise stronger. The fire you walked through wasn't meant to consume you, but to purify you. And now, look back for a moment. Can't you see the hand of guidance in everything? The job you didn't get saved you from chains you never would have seen coming. The people who left you created space for those who are meant to honor you. The times you thought you failed were actually chapters where you were learning to trust, to create, to believe in yourself beyond titles. You were never falling behind. You were being pulled ahead into something greater. Chosen one, you must remember this. The world will not always recognize you at first. They will question why you don't follow their rules, why you can't settle like they did, why you seem restless in places where they feel secure. But what they see as restlessness is actually alignment with a higher purpose. You were wired differently. You are not meant to be everywhere, not meant to be in every space, not meant to say yes to every opportunity. You are designed for precision, for the right time, the right place, the right assignment. This is why you must not chase after the things everyone else chases. The doors that are truly yours will open not by force, but by destiny. You don't need to beg or compromise who you are to be accepted. Your path will look different, but that difference is your protection. Every time you were told no, it was because something greater was waiting for you. Every time you felt overlooked, it was because you were being positioned for something that could not be shared with the crowd. And when your moment arrives, because it will, everything will make sense. People will wonder how you carried so much when others collapsed. They will ask how you kept going when quitting seemed easier. And the answer will be simple. You were chosen. You were set apart to hold what others could not, to endure what others would not, and to rise where others fell. That is why you could not walk their path. That is why you had to take the harder road. Now the time is coming for your release. The hidden strength within you, the wisdom carved by trials, the faith shaped in silence, all of it will shine. And those who doubted will see why you were different. They will realize that you were never behind. You were always being prepared. Your life itself will become the answer, the proof, and the light. So stand firm. Do not shrink back. Do not envy those who chose the easy way. You were not called to easy. You were called to destiny. The fire you endured has given you something unshakable, and soon the world will witness the rise of everything you carried in silence. And when it happens, you will know in your spirit, every battle, every rejection, every lonely night was worth it. Because you did not just survive, you became unstoppable. And now, chosen one, this is where the path leads you. Not to ordinary doors, but to the ones that only open for you. Every delay, every loss, Every lonely night has been building the strength and wisdom you carry now. You are stepping into a season where clarity replaces confusion, where peace silences fear, and where destiny unfolds without resistance. Remember, you were never forgotten. You were being prepared, and now the world will see what heaven always knew. You are chosen, set apart, and unstoppable.